Welcome all to Photos with Yanni. I am Yanni. I love photography, and quite possibly my favorite photography style for me is nature landscapes. Nature landscapes allow me to connect with nature, capture the beauty around us. They help me center, so they are extremely helpful. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button because that helps us tremendously. Subscribe to the channel because we have a lot of cool stuff, happening right now. So I went ahead and compiled a little list of tips and tricks on how to get the most out of landscape photography with your camera. Without further ado, here it is. Number 1, take your time. I cannot stress this enough. It is absolutely vital when you see a subject or a landscape you want to photograph to take your time. Now, if it's something quick, like a bird or something you don't want to miss, by all means, go fast. But when you stop for a second, walk around, see the landscape from different angles, allow yourself to absorb it, this momentary clarity will be extremely beneficial to you, and it will reduce the regret that sometimes you get, like, oh, I should have done this, or I should have shot that. Allow yourself to connect with the environment. Walk around it. See how you can frame it, and I guarantee you will see better, much better results. Number 2, check your composition. Composition is something very tricky in itself, so you can frame a shot using the basic rule of thirds. Make sure you put something interesting in each third. Use leading lines. Lead the eyes of the viewer with an S-curve. Play around with reflections, for example. If you have a pond, see if you can get the pond to reflect something on the overall frame. And speaking about reflections, number 3, use an ND filter and a tripod. What are those? Using an ND filter and a tripod, it can allow you to cut the amount of light entering the sensor. Putting your camera on a tripod, can allow you to do 1, 2, 3 second exposures with the ND filter there. Therefore, if you have a choppy sea, pond, lake, you can smoothen out the water. It's good to use a tripod, even on fast shutter speeds, because it reduces camera shake and allows on a more, steady composition. Plus, you can even use it to take some panorama shots and stitch them together. At this point, I'd like to take a second and show you all one of my favorite landscape pictures that my friend Adam sent me from the UK. I'm going to put his Instagram down here. This is incredible. Look at the composition. Look at how this picture just speaks to me. I mean, it's so great. And I'm waiting on a new frame, Adam. That's why it's not on that one. So I'm going to put it on a much bigger frame. But look at how beautifully he's framed the tree to the side of the picture. There's a leading line leading to the tree. There's elements to the back. This is just superb. Anyway, much love to you, Adam. Thank you. Number 4, AEB HDR. Nice acronyms, right? What are those? AEB allows you to shoot either 3, 5, 7 frames with different stops in between them, and you can get them all in RAW in a small burst of photos, and then you can import them in Lightroom, and you can tenfold increase your dynamic range, and you can get so much more detail out of your shadows, out of your highlights, out of everything. So they expand your dynamic range so much with a click of a button. I will link my video below on editing AEB, and you can see how easy it is. AEB produces HDR shots, which is essentially the same thing. You can take 3 different pictures with all different exposures. That's why you have a tripod, and then you merge them all together and your image looks incredible, just like this one. I mean, I'm going to keep putting examples right up here. Number 5, lenses. This is something completely backwards. You do not need wide angle lenses to take sweeping landscape shots. I know. What I usually do is I use my regular 24-105, which is like my regular kit lens, and I walk around with it, and I get general wide shots. You can use a 16-35, a 15-35, 10 by 22, whatever lens you want. Then I go back and I try to find frames within frames to help my composition. To do that, I use my 70/200 2.8, which is a telephoto lens, which is absolutely insane if you think about it. The telephoto allows you to isolate the subjects, compressing the main subject, making it pop out completely. I love shooting, even at 200 millimeters. I mean, the subject just separates and everything behind it just melts. It's amazing. Number 6, find the aperture sweet spot. This is a weird one. Most people hear about the aperture sweet spot. It's either between f5 and a 6 to f8. I personally shoot between f5 and a 6 to f11. You have to check out and test your lenses. You want to shoot landscape shots around that aperture range because that's where your lens is the sharpest. I have shot landscapes wide open, usually when there's less light and you want to leave more light in. And I don't have a tripod, but even if you do have a tripod, this will allow you to keep everything in focus, making everything nice and sharp. A wide open aperture may give you some zones of bokeh. Some part of the image may be blurred out and it can be distracting. It can be intentional or unintentional. Most of the time it can be unintentional, but it looks cool. And a closed narrow aperture will cause diffraction and cause your images to be soft. You don't want to do that. Although closed aperture can actually get you some pretty cool starburst effects. But, to each his own. We were shooting landscapes here. There's no artificial lights out there. Number 7, go at the right time. This is absolutely crucial as well. You may decide to hit a wonderful spot at the wrong time. This will completely ruin your composition. What if you decide to go in the middle of noon where the light is the harshest? Or what if you decide to go right before, in the middle of the night? You're not going to be able to see everything. So it's crucial to go I like to generally shoot landscapes between sunrise and 2 hours before noon and 3 to 4 hours after noon all the way to sunset. I mean, the light tends to be softer. The sun is not at the top, completely beating you down. So that makes a little bit of a difference, I think. Number 8, what is your subject? What are you trying to shoot in the picture? What are you trying to showcase? Do not shoot just for the sake of shooting. Craft a little story. Say something. Sometimes happy accidents like some birds may fly into the picture and that can help elevate your shot. But essentially, I have found out that when I go out and shoot mindlessly, the image are nothing to talk about. When you go out there with a purpose, you want to tell a story, be that is, a sweeping landscape shot, some birds flying, in between, on top of the field. You just go up there and try to tell a story. That's what photography is. We just have a lot more tools to tell our story than just words. We have the visual aid, which is the best kind. Number 9. Shoot in RAW. It is rather obvious, isn't it? Shooting in RAW allows you to fix any mistakes you may have done. Wrong white balance? Check. Want to change the colors? Done. RAW is essentially that, raw data that can be manipulated by you to get the perfect result. Sometimes you want to shoot in JPEG, like if you're shooting sports or if you're shooting, photojournalism, but for the most part, shoot in RAW. And also, take a couple of extra shots. You never know when something may go wrong. You may hit a wrong setting. I always like to shoot just a couple of extra shots just in case something goes bad, something is catastrophic. And number 10, go back. I'm working on another video right now where I'm talking about motivation in photography. And one of the tips I give here is the same as one here. Go back. Go back and revisit a scene. A lot of times what you have learned in the interim will help you out and hopefully give you a better image in the end. And don't rush. Go back. You may see the scene again with fresh eyes. Something may have changed. Something's going to be to your benefit. And essentially may help you out. And your pictures are going to be much more memorable. That's all I have for this video. Hopefully some of these will help you. Remember, photography is fun. Take care of yourselves and each other. And smile because it's contagious. Until next time, this is Yanni. Bye.